everybody. Joe Ray, Lowrider Garage, Lodi. Lowrider is in Lodi, California. You just saw, we just showed you an iconic championship truck that won way back in the 90s. That's Punch 84. I know we're a little bit excited to see that. You don't see cars that are about 30 years old or trucks from back in those days around anymore. It's all about paint. And I'm not talking about the design and customization. It's the quality, the craftsmanship behind it. That truck looks just as good as it did when it debuted and won a trophy about this high back in the day, a few of them. We are here to visit the painter himself, Mr. Steve Fernandes. Tell everybody out there in Lowrider land all about yourself. Go ahead.
Well, about Steve Fernandes, I actually saw the frame of Punch 84 by itself at the Sacramento Autorama. I remember walking around it and just saying to myself, who is this crazy to put this kind of time and money into a fantastic frame? And lo and behold, I would be getting a phone call a few weeks later from Switzerland, from the boys that own the truck, asking me if I would redo Punch 84.
Yeah, they're a very competitive crew there, Kenny and Leroy.
Kenny and Leroy.
And we got to get their take. But how long have you been custom painting?
Probably for the last 45 years.
45 years.
45 years, yeah.
But you pinstripe, you airbrush, you custom paint, you do it all. Why?
Well, the pinstriping was the very first thing I started doing.
Okay.
And I started on my mom and dad's refrigerator.
All right.
And when it came to custom painting, my dad had a van, and they went on vacation, and while they were gone, I told my dad, listen, I painted your van. And he said, you better not have. And I said, well, I already painted it. And that's how the painting started. And I actually painted it candy because I didn't know of any other kind of paint. I just went and bought House of Color paints and painted it in candy. Didn't know if I did a great job or not. I had some friends of mine that were painters. They came and looked at it. They were walking around it and they were shaking their head. And I said, is it that bad? And they go, no, dude. We would never attempt to paint a candy job, and this is perfect. I said, really? So at that point, I think I knew what I wanted to do.
And to learn how to paint a candy, of course, you have to make a mistake and then go on from there.
Yes.
But your first ones came out pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, and if anything didn't look right,
right.
I would pick up the airbrush, and that's how the airbrush started.
Right.
And I'd
tricks on it.
I'd do the tricks with the airbrush. And I say yes pretty much to everything.
So today, I mean, you do a variety of things, but seeing Punch 84 out there, you have put your hands and your talent on a lot of vehicles out this way. And you have some of that collection here right now as we speak. You want to show us?
Well, let's go back.
Your artwork here?
We'll go back a little ways.
Okay.
This particular car was probably the beginning. I had done this car, and it did pretty well. It made the magazine. It came with the top cars in the country.
Right, 1990.
Yeah, a few times. And then right after that, I had come across this. The Entertainer. And he's out there still showing.
Yeah,
you know, for fun. It's family, and they get out there and have a blast. And that's right after that is when I got the call from Punch 84. And from there on, it was really good after that.
Mini trucks were big back in those days also, and trucks, right?
Yeah, this particular one right here was something that I had put together. And from there, the engraving was starting to get popular, so I said, okay, well, I can try to do that too. And that's what I do, is engraving now.
And that's all your engraving work right there?
Yeah, this is something that I'm doing for a lot of bikes back east, the custom bikes, real popular.
How about the lowriders? Because that's a big
exactly,
right
yeah.
now.
And I do a lot of the bumpers and a lot of the handle bars, not the handlebars, but the handles and stuff like that. And I love doing it. And it keeps coming. So,
how long does it take you to do a paint job? Well, back then, something like this, where you would do multicolors, you would do striping, some airbrush. How long would it take to do?
To be honest with you, this whole paint job took probably 3 weeks.
3 weeks, huh?
I was quite a bit younger back then too, so I could stay up all night.
That always does help.
So this particular car right here that we're looking at was probably one of the first new styles that was busting out.
Right.
you know,
Then
a
became
brand
the
new
low
car.
rods,
And-
right.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden that was real popular. And I was very blessed for Mr. Lopez to actually, because I did the Lowrider Aztec. I guess it was
Did you
Aztec.
design the wrap on that for him? or-
Yes, yes.
Right.
And then I painted, actually painted it all. I think it was a different red, and I did all the airbrush work on the sides. And all
Wow.
that. So.
That thing's been wrapped, painted,
Yeah.
like about 10 good times.
Yeah. And
The
so
Tantalizer.
the Tantalizer was a very popular.
Out of all the
car.
vehicles, lowriders, because you get to express more of your art on a lowrider, or like you mentioned, a van.
Yeah.
That's where lowriders kind of started at the crazy paint jobs.
Yes.
What is your favorite? Are they all your favorite? Your favorite lowrider you ever painted?
I like them all, but Punch 84 is definitely the one that I'm most fond of. Yeah.
Murals. That's your mural work too, huh?
Yeah, this is something that I had done for a client, and he had brought the rest of the bike that had artwork on it that he had done back east, and he couldn't find anybody to match that particular artwork. And like I say yes to everything, and so I pretty much created all this, and it matches perfect with the rest of the bike.
And Steve, if anybody needs to get a hold of you for custom paint,
Yes.
murals, pinstriping, airbrushing, engraving, this is the same number. That's how they reach you right
That's
here.
the same number right there. Yes. And I live in Lodi, California. And,
And that's all your pinstripe
yeah,
designs
this is
down
something
here.
that we pinstripe. I keep saying we. I keep thinking there's a whole bunch of me, but it's,
Right.
but it's just me.
Well, when you have that much talent, you do all of that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like 5 guys living in one.
Okay.
And of course, you're an artist and everything, but the main thing, I see that you use a lot of House of Color paint. So you go back way back into even the lacquer days a little bit, or no?
Yeah, even in the lockers, they had House of Color starting
Uh-huh.
out. And obviously, it was a lot more reasonable to buy materials. Back then, I think we could buy the materials to paint a car for $75. And as we all know, that same car is going to cost $3,000 or $4,000 just in materials.
Right.
So everything has just obviously gone up, but the quality has gone crazy. It's incredible now, the quality.
We don't know. Well, the quality of work and the craftsmanship is beautiful, but I know where they got their ideas.
Yeah.
To see the cars that are out there on turntables today,
Yeah.
I like to see them in 30 years if they're still around, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, and then we'll see how good the newer paint is
Exactly.
compared to the old lacquer ones. They aren't going to last. They
Yeah,
fade.
yeah.
Will have a lot to do with that. But being a painter and full of talents, I know everybody's excited to see Punch 84 because they haven't seen it in like 25 years. Besides the design, and the intro showed a lot of that, we need to get out there with the owners because they're here with us too. It's that the truck itself is still all there, all the way from underneath all the way to the top. There's no bubbles, there's no cracks, there's no chipping, nothing is wrong with that truck. I know that it only came out so much, but it only counts from the first primer on that metal, all the metal work, to
Yeah.
the primers and the sealers, to the candies, to the clear coat, to the rub out, is why that thing looks like that. Or is it because of your work?
It's both. It takes both, as you know. I mean, you've dealt with the same quality stuff that you do.
Yeah.
That you're involved with Las Vegas and all that. Those are just levels that we had to, compete with. And I knew make it look as good as
Those were early
Las Vegas.
times. Those were early
Yeah.
times. I mean, we're taking extra steps. We're going out there
Yeah.
on a limb sometimes. But I mean, look where it is today. I mean, some of those years, 92 all the way up to 95, 96, some of
Yeah.
those cars that popped out there, those days, they're hard to match. But man, when you go to the Las Vegas Super Show now,
Yeah.
there's about 80 to 100 cars on jack stands.
Yeah.
And the level has just gone up. The creativity, you see a little bit of it. There's a little bit of innovators out there.
Yeah.
But it's basically what you see there, or what you see from the cars back then,
Right.
that everybody is still doing today. So
Exactly.
it took them a couple decades to get on track.
Yeah.
And it's the baddest thing there is. It's the only car show out there, out of all the Autoramas,
That's right.
anything that's out there. There is nothing like going to a lowrider show and seeing, like, a painter yourself can express himself and get out, open book. You could go past all the lines. You could do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, because they never told me what they wanted. They just said, just do a crazy paint job. They didn't say anything about the color or anything. So
God, this is all great history.
it is kind of cool. Yeah, so
Well, let's go enjoy some more of your work, and I want to get into the craftsmanship, the body work. why. So Steve, you're an artist. You do airbrushing, you do striping, engraving. So you have to be doing hot rods, bikes. You do everything, not just lowriders. But I see a lot of lowrider in this paint job.
Yes, you do.
What color?
These are candy colors from House of Color. It all started with a gold base, pagan gold. I came back with candy tangerine and just did a lot of fades. And back in the day when I did this, it's been probably 20, 25 years ago, fire was real popular. And so I added the fire in and we come up with this. And it's pretty nice out in the sun. This thing just kicks big time.
Sure it does. So here we go, everybody. Punch 84. Steve Fernandes, the custom painter. There's a lot of artwork on there, like I said, but there's a lot of work that came before that underneath, and it's lasted this long. What were the owners like?
Well, I got to be careful because they're standing right over there.
All right, we're going to bring in Kenny and Leroy and family because they were all behind this fabulous build going way back, and they're going to tell us what it was like. When they first contacted you after the frame, decided you were going to be the painter, Steve. You guys want to jump right here? Kenny, Leroy. Now, for everybody out there, these guys, when it comes to lowrider back in the 90s, these guys were judges. These guys were innovators. They set the bar back then. These guys are more famous than that vehicle that you see, and that's the second paint job on that vehicle. So they have done a whole lot when it comes to being a pioneer in lowriding, being innovative, setting the example. This is the reason why we're all here today. And people only hear stories like if it's a myth, you got to find that Lowrider magazine from back there to try to witness some of it. But we all know when you see it live, and you're going to go to the Super Show that's coming up in November, this is what you get. When you see it live like us, I'm more excited than Steve is to see one of his own paint jobs. So Leroy, let everybody know who you are, man. Tell us.
My name is Leroy Gonzalez. This is my son Kenny and his family, my two grandkids, my other daughter. And we started with a truck in
86 is when we first started doing these stereo shows.
Yeah.
And we were in Stockton, and I was at a show there, and one of the judges came up and started judging me for the car show end of it. And I told him I'm only in the stereo part, and he's like, "This thing's clean. You might as well get into the car show end of it." So that's what it took off from there. We started adding stuff to it all the time and changing everything up and trying to get better at each show, trying to raise the level every time.
As a matter of fact, we got a hold of the painter in LA. We took the truck down to LA to get it repainted. We got a sponsorship from Rockford Fosgate, and we were going to go to
Tucson, Arizona, to the Stereo Nationals.
Stereo Nationals. And I think you finished 4th, 5th?
Yeah, I think
the
we
Stereo
finished
Nationals?
4th, yeah.
We came back, we went to a lowrider show in Tulare, and there's a guy named Ruben Gonzalez, had a truck, a 72 I think it was. And this guy would beat us at every show we'd go to. We'd go to Stockton, Tulare, anywhere we went, he'd beat us. So I asked the judges, I said, "Hey, how come we get beat all the time? I mean, we've done this, we've done that." And he goes, "Well, you don't have any chrome on the undercarriage." I says, "So if I put chrome on the undercarriage, I'd be able to compete against him?" He goes, "Well, of course, you're not getting no points for it." I said, "Great, that's good to know." At that same show, Kenny went to go get registered, and he was behind Ruben, and Ruben with another friend of his was there, and he goes, "Hey, Ruben," he said, "did you see that black 84, Punch 84 truck?" The guy goes, "Oh yeah, I beat him all the time." Kenny heard him, came back, he said, "Dad, we got to redo this truck." From that day on, we tore it down, we started working on it, and this is what we came up with.
And back in those days, the sound offs and hopping contests were big in car shows, man.
Yes, they were.
Sound offs were very important. You'd have hundreds of cars lined up to qualify, to compete and to win. So that was a big thing, and that's what got you guys going, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what originally started it. And then we ended up getting the truck done, and we won I believe it was 94 Lowrider of the Year, and then it got shipped overseas to Sweden and Finland, and on the way back, one of the straps in the container broke, so the truck shifted over, and it wore all the paint off, I believe, the passenger fender. So when it got back to port in Los Angeles, we realized the damage to it, that's when we got a hold of Steve. And originally we were gonna just have Steve repair the paint on it, because it was, I think it was like 6 weeks before the Super Show for the next year, which was '95. And Steve's like, nah, we're gonna redo this thing. I go, you're gonna do it in a month? He goes, I'll get it done. And the man kept his word. He got it all done.
Came through with it. I mean, he did a phenomenal job. We almost went through 4 or 5 painters. Took us 4 or 5 years. We sold a sponsorship with Rockford Fosgate with 3 bedrooms full of chrome-plated parts for this truck. A complete display, a turntable, the whole 9 yards that we actually manufactured ourselves and made. And from there, he just took like wildfire, man. There we came back. We competed here in the U.S., all over the U.S. Then we got shipped it to Sweden, Jönköping, Sweden, and Finland. When we got there in Sweden, a guy from Denmark came over to the show, and he goes, hey, I want this truck at my show. I said, dude, you need to pay this guy what it costs to ship it over here, and you pay us $10,000, we'll take it over there. And the following weekend was the show. We had to fly back to LA. I had to go judge a show in San Diego, fly back Monday morning, all the way back overseas, and move the truck from Sweden to Denmark and set it up for a show over there. Once we got that done, they shipped it on a what's that? Those boats?
Container?
No, those boats that you put the cars in.
The ones that carry all the I know that because I sent my car out to Stuttgart, Germany, and it went to Sweden too. Once they get them there, they take care of them. Once they throw them back up on that boat with those trucks that pick them up on the floor,
Yep.
they don't care how they push them in the containers,
geez.
the ships, and then they send it. And if it's at the wrong time of the season, those big ships, they rock.
Yeah.
It's almost better to unload it right there in Carolina and
Yeah.
bring it back on a train. I almost knew mine was going to come back damaged too. If I'd have known you guys went through that before that, that story you're telling me right now, I would have never let my car go over there. But it was good money back then that they paid.
And
Good
it was
prestige.
Yeah,
to be able to
it was.
do that.
To get a lowrider out there
Yes.
to Sweden, and even anywhere out there.
Exactly.
But then again, lowriders are out there now.
Oh, they're
They're everywhere now
they're
because of this.
Exactly.
Judging.
Exactly.
When did you get into lowriding, Leroy?
I started when he started showing the truck with Larry.
Yeah.
I got bored sitting there all day. I told Larry, I said, hey man, you got something for me to do? I'm bored sitting here.
Yeah.
He goes, sure man, help us park cars. I got so good at parking cars that he finally made me in charge of setting up all the buildings, talking to the fire marshal, making sure all the cars were safety. I became one of the head judges. I had my own crew that we were judging because we were competitors, and I made sure that my people got taken care of at the shows, because a lot of people that own the magazine did not care about the people in exhibition. And I pushed all the time to help everybody on that. And I gained respect from all the car clubs all over the U.S. because we stood for the people that were showing their cars at the time.
Yeah, without the cars, there's no crowd. You always have to take care of the entertainer first, all the actors, all of those guys first, because you'll never have an audience. Who's going to take us a tour around here? I mean, there's a lot of memories on this paint job, a lot of things, some of your favorite colors, what you like on the paint the most. Can we go a little bit down history lane here with this? Who wants to give us a tour?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, as far as at the time that I should say Steve picked these colors, we just got sponsored by House of Color, and all these colors was their new neon colors, and I'm not quite sure how many they were. Steve would be better know on that, but he used every single color that was available at that time. That's how he came up with these bright colors. And then at the time, I believe Joe Ray with Las Vegas was the only one that was going towards this trend, more of a lighter color, not so dominant traditional dark colors like it was at that time. But we were real happy with what he did.
There's nothing wrong with a little bit of yellow, magenta, tangerine, purple, and blue.
Exactly.
Because they all go together perfect.
Yeah.
To break
And
it up.
there is no other color combo you can put together if you're going to do 4 or 5 colors.
You know,
They
something
each
that's
complement each other, Steve.
something that's different about the paint that a lot of people don't even know is this whole paint job base coat was pearl white, and that's how we got the real lemony type fade because of the pearl white.
It's easier to make a mistake on pearl white than
It
is on
is
silver.
or gold, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was quite the task, but as luck would have it, I think it was luck.
So this was your favorite paint job, Steve? What's your favorite color out of all the colors that you use?
Well, to be honest with you, for whatever reason, I like this feel right here. I love
Tangerine,
the way it kind of blends in right here. To me, that's really rich looking. And then I like this color down here.
Right.
And then,
And the equipment you used back then, compared to the Iwatas, all the technology today, waterborne, all of that.
yeah, it's a little bit different.
What you used back then is dinosaur, right?
Yeah, but there was one particular gun that I would use for candies,
Uh-huh.
and it was a 69. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a 69. And that's the only gun I could use because some of the new guns, to me, they have like a blotchy look to them. If you're trying to spray fades,
Right.
and that 69 gun was just always the workhorse. It would do everything you wanted to do.
What I like about a lot of your airbrushing work, and see, there's a lot of great painters that can lay out patterns,
Yeah.
but they can't airbrush, and all the gleams and all that reminds me of Walt Prey. He used to love to do things like this
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
And not too many painters can, man. There's some that are blessed and gifted as artists like you are.
Thank you.
But Leroy, what was your favorite thing about this?
Well, I think my part of it would be the manufacturing, getting the truck set up, because I had to remodel the whole base, bottom floor of the truck, the firewall, the inner fenders, the hood. We opened up all the back end. You can see all the way through, put two-way mirror glass in for the sound system was that. We engineered and designed our own plexiglass woofer box on the back of the truck. At the time we started, I had my glass guy come in, and I had him mold 1/4-inch bronze mirror glass, the whole bottom of the truck, the hood, the inner fender wells, the firewall, everything with glass. When we took it to the Oakland Roaster show, I had one of the judges come over and ask me and says, "Hey, what are you trying to hide with the glass?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, I see you got glass all over the car." I said, "Did you see my portfolio?" He goes, "No, I didn't." I said, "You'll see it. I spent almost 2 weeks remanufacturing the whole steel because do you have cars out here that got stainless?" The guy goes, "Yeah, I do." I says, "Can you take and push it and screw it to a deal if the floor's not level?" "Well, yeah." I said, "Try to do that with my glass. You can't. You'll break it." I said, "So this is the ultimate finish." I said, "Go wipe stainless, aluminum. You'll get scratches on it. Go wipe my glass. It's clean. It's finished."
So there's neon lights under there. I remember the display when you first broke out with this, the whole thing, but what I remember the most was you had a chrome frame on it, and it was like, God damn. And it's like, okay, because you always get ideas, we all do, from each other, and you try to twist it so you don't say you copy, but I mean, you went out there and you set the standard right there, and it was like only obvious that I gotta find a tank to chrome my frame at. I don't know anyone out there that big, but that was the whole deal right there.
You know, it's ironic you mentioned that because
Yes.
I called my plater on Sacramento American Plating, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, can you chrome a frame?" I had asked Kenny, "What am I gonna do with the frame?" "Oh, we'll just candy it and paint it and pinstripe it." I said, "No, man, we gotta take it to the next step." And so I called my plater. I says, "Can you chrome a frame for me?" "Well, how long is it?" I said, 16 feet, 18 feet. "My tanks are only 10. Make it in 3 sections."
Right.
I spent 3 weeks working in my regular plant and thinking on my head how I was going to be able to accomplish that. We came back home, tore the truck all apart. We put the old frame on a set of sawhorses and started building a rectangular tubing. I think it was a 2x4, 2x5 tubing.
2x5.
And totally made the whole complete new frame on it. And it took us a while to get it all done. We used to go to Sacramento every weekend, take a load of stuff to get plated and pick up a load of stuff back. I had 3 rooms full of chrome plating stuff, and we sold a big sponsorship with Rockford Fosgate, just showing them the parts that we had and our plans that we had for the future of the truck.
How has low riding changed for you guys today when you look at it today, what they're doing today and what we did back then?
Well, of course, nowadays back in the day when we were doing it, we had to fabricate everything handmade. They weren't CNC machines. They weren't all this computerized stuff. So it was all by hand craftsmanship. Not knocking the new technology now, but to me, in my opinion, it's a lot easier to do custom stuff when you can push a button and get on a computer and program things. I mean, I have respect for that, but when a man does it with his bare hands and his mind, That's craftsmanship, in my opinion.
It was fun back then when you could use a torch, right?
Yeah, exactly, man.
A torch and a hammer. That's how I built most of my cars like that. So, Steve, tell us your story on the art of custom paint today and back then. What appeals to you today out of all the custom painters?
Well, I got to tell you, there's a lot of talent out there, and the ones that I've seen, it's real meticulous. These guys are just spending the time it takes to do an incredible paint job. I can honestly say that some of the older stuff that we know of with Las Vegas and this Punch 84, it kind of set some of the standards that I wish I would see more today. Because today I see just graphic after graphic after graphic, a lot of lines. Sometimes I don't see the paint job actually making the car look sleek.
The designs of the car, right?
Designs, yeah. I think we're losing a little bit of that because there's so many patterns, and sometimes you got to get back and just look at the car and say, okay, is it running smooth? Is it looking clean? And I think this is what this represents. Of course, I'm biased also.
Of course you are. And of course, it was all the materials.
Materials,
Back
yeah.
then, the right materials.
Yeah. It was the best. Yeah.
Today, they're out there. Today, they're like $8,000 to $10,000 for materials to paint. Something like this today would probably cost about $15,000 to $20,000
Exactly.
of materials, easy. The painters want more than that. They want that as a deposit sometimes.
Exactly.
And they take as many years to get something like this done too.
Exactly.
And sometimes you don't get them back.
Right.
But it's an art. There's craftsmanship, and man, I mean, the gleam, everything, the shine on this truck is just incredible. The more you take care of them, the more you wear them out. What is it besides Steve's craftsmanship and all the materials he bought? What is it that keeps this truck looking like it did back then for you guys?
I think mainly the fact that we keep it enclosed in the shop, we don't get no sunlight on it. It keeps it nice, and it holds the paint on us for it. But in reality, this paint job sitting at our shop, people come in and they'll bring a car they wants to work on it, and I'll give them a tour of this car or other cars that we're doing in there, and it's like a business card because they see it and they go, hey, I want you to work on my car. So it has given us a lot of publicity having the truck.
Where are you guys located at? Tell everybody. So, I mean, people, I know you like to have the business, but I think people want to come out and see the truck. Okay.
We're located in Delhi, California. We have it's a 10,000 square foot shop. We have one section for all assembling. We have one section for all the metal fabrication. And then we have a full body shop, paint booth, and sandblast pit. So we're pretty well set up to take a car completely off the frame and build it ground up. We do all in-house. The only thing we don't do in-house is upholstery, but everything else is done there, one-stop shop.
Other than plating, we send the
And
plating to
plating,
get
yeah.
done.
Yeah, and I'm saying everybody just wants to see the truck. If you want to see your truck, you want to see it complete, there's the numbers right there. These guys are legends. They've been around it a long time. One-stop shop. They do it all. They did it all back then, and that's why we're still doing it today. So Steve, your special guest truck that you have here, that trophy was about 7 feet tall. They were hard to take home, right? Mm-hmm. After all the excitement, I broke one of mine laying it down. It's still broken to this day, but I mean, those were the times, the money then back then, but it's more the accomplishment of what you guys like you, Local 64 has to be thrown in the mix, man. And there were other paint jobs that you did too, man, out here in the culture out here.
Yeah.
That when the competition was thrown down, not just down Southern California, all over the lowrider map, you guys set that trend and you threw that competition out there and you said, come and get me. I know.
Yeah.
That car show was only that weekend, right? I was there for 3 weeks looking at the frame saying, God damn it. But, and that's what it does. That's why we're here,
Yeah,
man.
ironically, you mentioned about the frame. When we first started working on, we're trying to keep this in hush-hush, right? Because, you know,
Right.
the word gets out, and
Yeah.
a lot of people always checking everything. Well, I went to L.A., one of my friends, Chino, remember Chino?
Yeah.
Used to
Oh,
build
yeah.
all the old cars?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He goes, hey, Leroy, somebody, I think Local 64 is building a chrome-plated frame. And I go, oh, my God, no. And I came back and I told Kenny, we got to debut the frame in Sacramento. Kenny goes, no, Dad, we're gonna put everything out in the open. I says, Kenny, it's better to do it now, because if he comes out with a frame, we're gonna copy him. I said,
Yeah.
no. And we actually put all our cards on the table, and it cost us dearly. We lost the first show, but not because of the truck losing, because somebody powdered the judge's noses, and it actually wound up getting fired over that show. But we lost the first. That's why we retired 3 years in a row, because I actually beat Rep with EMB the first year, the second year, and the third year. He would not compete against us in the hot rod shows, because even the head judge at the hot rod shows told him, you might as well build a new truck, you can't beat Punch. And he would never compete against us there. So this is why we always pull for the exhibitor when we used to be judging at the shows and taking care of the people there, because we went through the same thing that these guys go through. You spend a lot of money on moving the vehicle, taking care of the vehicle, and feeding your crew. So yeah, we used to take care of all our guys.
You can't, it's not fair to disrespect anybody by judging their vehicle. If you know nothing about that year, make, or model, never built one, never built a car, you have no business judging it.
Exactly.
Correct.
And it's not about winning that trophy. It's about the crowd that comes around you. That
Exactly.
sees that, and those people will judge you and tell you you're the winner. Anything else from you guys, man? It's good to see you guys. Anything else you can
We
say?
truly appreciate you guys coming down and spending the effort and interviewing us and showing the old truck. She's still hanging in there. She's old, but she's still there.
We got to come out with a Punch 224. 3 years. You could do the paint job in 1 month.
Well, maybe, yeah.
One more thing I wanted to add, when we started doing the truck, Joe, you busted out with your car before we did.
Yeah.
Yes. That's when I fell in love with the paintwork that he did. When I brought it to Steve to repair it, he's the one that said, hey man, let's take it to the next stage. I said, dude, we only got 3 months. I'm not going to lose the title because you don't get it done. He said, I guarantee you. He closed the shop down, put all his workers on the truck, and he's the only guy that walked in. I go, Steve, that's immaculate, man. That's beautiful. And he asked me, what color do you want? I said, yeah, you're the artist. Do your thing. All I want to do is win every category in the paint that I can.
But that's
And this
easy.
is what he gave us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did, man. We got plaques galore, from the undercarriage to the paint job to the interior to the engine compartment. Every time we go to a show, people would say, hey, Kenny. I said, no, Kenny's my son. I'm Leroy. I'm his dad. I said, the truck belongs to him. I just bring it in. Oh, yeah, right, man. No, you're Kenny. I said, no, I'm not. It's my son.
You guys were like brothers back at
Yeah,
that time, man.
yeah.
Those were the best of times. If you can come out and visit that shop, a one-stop shop, these guys know all the heartaches every builder goes through. And you can get rid of all those heartaches without taking any medicine. Come out, visit them, see this truck. In the meantime, I'm going to do all I can to get it out there to the Vegas Super Show coming up this year. If not, seeing the truck, find these 2 owners, because the truck's iconic and so are the owners, so is that painter right there. Now you got to go out there and support them like they came
I
here
will
for you
definitely be
today.
there, yeah.
Come and visit with them and talk some old times, because Lowrider Garage can only be 30 minutes to 45 minutes sometimes, but there's a whole lot more to tell. There's 35 years of history right here,
exactly.
just with this truck alone. And that trophy that stood this high, that's how we all stand this high today, because of these guys. So there you are. Lowrider Garage, Lodi, Kenny, Leroy, family, and the famous painter, Steve Fernandes.